Yes, let's discuss percentages. So I am Jason from CryptoCrane.
We're rolling. I'm Craig from CryptoCrane.
You are Will from Blockchain Decrypted.
Yep.
I'm Ross.
And he's Ross. Overlord, Allfather.
General ring leader.
So, as you can see, there are 4 of us today instead of just the normal 3.
Welcome, Will.
Thanks.
Thanks for making the trip.
Yeah, my pleasure.
We met Will at a Bitcoin meetup here in Brighton. We were investigating a local brewery that happens to accept Bitcoin and
investigating.
Right.
Yes.
Future video.
Might have investigated 37 or 38 times.
Right.
This month.
And so it was our first time going to a local Bitcoin meetup, and there's a lot of really cool people there. And we met Will, and he also does podcasting. So we asked Will if he'd be willing to interview on our podcast.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to do so.
Yeah, thank you.
It's like foreign exchange program, except without the foreign.
Right.
Well, it's
Sure.
crypto. It's all
All right,
foreign to me.
so Will, what is your specialty in crypto, would you say?
Well, I'm mainly a cryptocurrency day trader, so I look at things more from the financial aspect. I also do a little swing trading, long-term investing, good stuff like that. I know a little bit about the fundamentals, but I'm by no means like a coder or something like that.
Sure.
So, like, don't ask me to try to explain the coding aspects of blockchain. I'm not the guy for that. But if you want some technical analysis or something like that, I'd be totally down.
Brilliant. Where can you be reached at? If somebody wanted to reach out for questions about technical analysis and whatnot.
Go ahead and go to blockchaindecrypted.com, and my email address is there, so you can reach me there.
Brilliant. Cool. So with that, what is technical analysis for somebody that might not be smart enough to use that many syllables in a sentence?
For sure. So basically, it's looking at the previous patterns in any chart, a stock trading chart, a cryptocurrency chart. There are certain patterns that you can see, and there are some that just like almost everyone that's trading look at. And so they'll trade to these, and you can kind of predict what the market's going to do based on what these indicators show.
I'm glad you brought up indicators. As the resident noob here, both with regards to cryptocurrency in general and the stock market in general as well, it's my understanding that with a normal stock transaction, for lack of a better term, there are similar patterns between the fluctuations in value compared to a normal business-related stock as compared to a cryptocurrency-related stock, but the fluctuations with a cryptocurrency-related stock happen much, much, much more frequently.
Yeah, it's a lot more volatile. For sure.
So if you don't mind sharing a bit of insight, what sort of patterns are you looking for with regard to the fact that those fluctuations happen that much more fast, that much more often, et cetera, as compared to a normal stock?
Yeah, actually, the volatility, the fluctuations that you call them, they can actually be a really good, really profitable thing for a day trader or a swing trader, because you can buy at a level of support, which is when crypto goes to a certain level repeatedly, and it'll keep bouncing back from that level over time and then go up. And if it's really volatile, it'll go down to that level and then shoot up $1,000 or something in the case of like Bitcoin. And then you can sell, and then it'll be volatile and swing down, and you can buy and, repeat.
So it's a recurring cycle of buy low, sell high.
Kind of, yeah. Like it's a little more complicated than that. It would depend on the individual indicator, but yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
So this seems like right down your alley, considering that you used to be in the stock trading market, correct?
Yes,
you did that for a career for a while, right?
Yes, yeah, I was trained by Pristine.
So is there anything that applied to the stock market that doesn't apply to crypto when it comes to this?
Really, it's so similar.
Yeah.
Like they're literally candlestick charts. It was literally like when I first looked at it, I was like, this is a stock.
Yeah.
There's volume, there's support, there's resistance, there's moving averages. Super similar.
Right. Except for it goes 24/7 and
except that it goes 24/7.
Global,
yes.
yeah. So.
Yeah, and global.
So why aren't there any ETFs yet?
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a recurring theme. Every time there's a news story, it's SEC wipes whatever ETF off the planet again.
Because regulators are mean. That's my answer to that question.
See, I
That's
told
a
you
good
it wasn't the
answer.
Winklevoss twins.
No.
It's those darn twins, they tried to ruin Facebook, now they're trying to ruin ETFs.
You're right, but my bae's working on it, all right?
No,
she's in there, she's doing work.
The
Sorry.
twins are actually trying to be like
yeah.
friends to the regulators.
Oh,
and
I
stuff,
know.
so-
It was guilty by association sort
Yeah.
of thing. They're the big meanies.
Yeah.
Poor Mark Zuckerberg.
Right. I love the Gemini exchange though, so go Winklevi.
Yeah.
He's my boss, so go Winklevoss.
Great.
Did you see what happened recently with Bitcoin in the last day or two?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
We
'Cause
do
I
a
read
little
an
bit.
Interesting
Sure.
news story.
We is this about the Goldman Sachs thing?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
So Goldman Sachs announced that they were not going to release their cryptocurrency trading desk, and then Bitcoin plummeted like 1,000, 1,100 points.
Yep. So it went from it's at what 6,400 ish
I
right
think
now.
it's at like 6,400, maybe below that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, which is interesting because I didn't particularly see that as like super positive when they announced that Goldman Sachs is going to be do that. It was like, oh, that's interesting. But then having them pull back is super negative. So I was surprised by that.
But the really interesting part of the story that I found today was someone shorted $74 million in Bitcoin a day in advance of the announcement.
Interesting indeed. Yeah.
So
Insider
that's
trading much?
Yeah, that's a little
Yeah.
suspicious. You know, at the time Bitcoin had been going up for like a week.
Yeah.
And then randomly someone shorts $74 million in
Yeah.
Bitcoin for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
While it's in a positive trend. And then miraculously it goes down like $1,000, $1,100.
Yeah. Yes, but good thing that Bitcoin is such a highly regulated market. I mean, oh wait, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm curious, what's your stance on regulation?
Ripple. Hard Ripple. Let's do it.
No.
Bank of America bucks? Where do I sign?
Necessary evil. That's how I see it. If we want this to be mainstream, there's no way of getting around regulation. There are some regulations that I understand. There are the desire to make sure that people aren't being defrauded and stuff like that, and that makes sense. I think that the SEC is right to look at all these ICOs and say, hey, this is kind of trying to get around the traditional way of investing and protecting, investors from buying into startups that, aren't really well researched. Let's put it lightly.
Philosophical question. Can you have a deregulated currency or currency-related entity, or excuse me, a decentralized currency or currency-related entity
Deregulated.
that is regulated by
Well,
some other outside?
The regulation doesn't happen at the currency level itself, so there is
Sure,
no,
but it does impact it.
Yeah, you're right. So there is no central bank.
Right.
There is no one adjusting interest rates and stuff like that. But there are, inflows and outflows from that currency to other currencies where the exchanges are, and you can definitely regulate those. And those are highly regulated. And most of the big exchanges are trying hard to work nicely with the regulators right now.
Fair distinction.
I would say that a lot of the large investors who have not yet invested in crypto in any way are looking at it and waiting for some more strength behind the regulations before they're even willing to touch it. Okay. So it could be good for the price long term, but it definitely rubs a lot of the people who were early adopters the wrong way. A lot of the things that made Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies attractive was the pseudo-anonymity features of it, the
Sure.
Ability to not have the government be involved, and suddenly having regulation implies government involvement. So, you're kind of changing who the target demographic is for crypto.
Yeah, I bet the cypherpunks, the initial
Yes.
guys, are especially.
I'm sure they love regulation.
Yeah.
I mean, is it the point of Dash or something like that, though, where it's a coin that is more or less just based off of anonymity?
I mean, there's other coins
Couldn't
that are...
there just be a, for lack of a better term, a spectrum of coins where it goes from regulated a la Ripple all the way to Zcash
Monero.
or Dash,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where it's kind of, for lack of a better term,
The
Wild
question
West.
is where do you trade those coins on an open market? Because that's where the regulation is going to happen. So yes, if you are attempting to remain anonymous, then you can find an individual who will sell you Monero or whatever. But if you're going through an exchange, they are required to have the KYC, know your customer regulations in place, and they are required to have their money transmitting licenses, and they're going to basically need your social and every other piece of identifying information about you. So there's no way to go through a modern large exchange without being identified. And through that identification, you have, places like the IRS who are, asking all these exchanges for, hey, let's take a look at your books and see who's making all this money.
You know what? You bring up an interesting question. Like, what's the point of something like a Monero, which its main feature is its anonymity?
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
If you put that on like a regulated exchange where they have to know your customer, what's
Right.
the point of the coin?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Unless you mine it and then just send somebody to their wallet direct.
Right.
Yeah. So one-to-one individual transactions, perfectly anonymous. I think it works really well in that scenario.
Yeah.
But
Akin to cash.
right, I think that at this point, at this stage, you have to just kind of admit that if you want to trade the currency on an open trading platform, you have to give up some anonymity.
You have to divulge.
I mean, I'm sure there are exchanges that probably still are allowing some people to, sign up without identifying themselves. But a lot of times you'll find that, I can put money in, but the moment I try and take out money, now they want to know who I am. And it's like, ooh, that's kind of shady in my opinion. So, yeah. What's next?
What is next?
Do you want to
What's
talk
next
about-
with crypto? Where's it going to next?
Yeah, all right. What's next with crypto? That was where I was going.
I see it's a pretty good buying opportunity right now, personally. I'm looking at crypto in this $73 million short and then this Goldman Sachs thing. This seems superficial to me.
Yep.
This seems
It seems like manipulation.
Yeah, right. And so it seems like we're pushing down, testing another support line, and probably going to go back up to where it was in the next 3-4 weeks. So
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think long term, with the Bitcoin halvening that's coming up in 2019?
late 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And theoretically, that should really increase the price of Bitcoin as well.
It historically has, for sure. I don't know if I buy into the fact that the supply side being
Buy
halved.
into.
I'm not entirely certain that I believe that the halvening of the supply side equates directly to real supply and demand changes overall. To me, the mining side is a drop in the bucket compared to the volume that's traded on the exchanges. Mm-hmm. So you're adding a drop in the bucket or subtracting a drop in the bucket. It will have an effect, but I don't think it's as huge. However, there are enough people that believe exactly what you just stated that could make it a self-fulfilling prophecy. So
Right.
It's hard to know. Is it supply and demand economics, or is it just human nature that we're observing here?
Exactly.
So,
That's kind of
yeah.
a question that you ask with technical analysis a
Right.
lot of the time too.
Yeah.
There's silly things that happen with that where 10 Bitcoin being at the price of 10,000, that's a support and resistance point. It means nothing.
Right,
It's
yeah.
it's just a number.
Yep.
And yet it's a strong support and resistance
Yep.
point just because it's this nice even number.
I think it's even funnier that it's 10,000 in US dollars, and yet most of the volume in Bitcoin is traded in Chinese yuan. And,
Yeah.
it's not. I don't know. It's just funny to me that
Yeah, that's a good point.
it's a
It's
US.
hilarious. Just a total gas.
Yeah.
This podcast. It's not even podcast this time, really, is it?
Podcast.
This segment brought to you by booze.
Yes.
That's vodka. That's not water. Just for clarification, I have a problem.
Yeah, you're almost half empty.
Or half full.
But that would be a solution, not a problem.
Oh. We're going off the rails real fast here. Today's been a good day. So would you recommend somebody that has like $30 in their bank account to start day swing trading? Or what's your, if you were to walk up to somebody on the street, or somebody were to walk up to you on the street and be like, Will, I have like no money or a butt ton of money, how much should I throw in the market? What would your first bit of advice be?
If they walk up to me and they say, Will, I've got $30 in my bank account, I would say, get a job and don't trade.
Hand me your bridge card. I'll give you $20. We'll make it work.
Shoot.
Here, come work for me and start writing articles for my website, and we'll get you started that way.
There you go.
Perfect. Here's $30. Go to Venezuela.
Yeah.
You'll be a king.
Yes.
That's what John McAfee did, right?
Is he in Venezuela?
He what? It was somewhere in South America. I don't know. We haven't done a McAfee minute in a minute.
And there's lots of good old McAfee stuff, but I'm not prepared enough.
Coincidentally, Will, just a bit of backstory. The first handful of podcasts that we did, half of the show was dedicated to trolling and collecting and then talking about cryptocurrency-related news events for the past week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. And either by dint of his sheer personality magnitude or just because he is inundated in cryptocurrency as an industry, John McAfee was a routine regular guest. And we came to the conclusion that it only made sense to dedicate at least a 5-minute segment of every show to John McAfee. Hence it became the McAfee Minute, which is a little bit of a misnomer because it was obviously more than 1 minute, but...
We love alliteration way too much to let that go,
And
though.
puns.
Bingo. Oh, yes. We are also a big fan of puns.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where he is in South America, or was. Now I think he's in Washington or something like that.
He probably is not in the U.S. anywhere, isn't he?
John, if you're
Horribly-
watching, we're big fans.
Well, we could just dump him a whole bunch of money and he'll start shelling our stuff for us. We
Can I
just
have a
need
bunch
to.
of money?
I mean, I think.
Well, I
it's-
mean, if
think,
he gets some, I get some. That's
Right.
how that works.
Okay, can Will and I have a bunch of money? Ross?
Yeah, there you go. Me? I dumped it all in the market and it died. I got nothing. Remember that $30
You bought
food
Bitcoin
stamp
at
You know what
story?
that's
20,000.
called? That's called experience.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The $30 food stamp story?
Yeah.
Real close.
No, serious question though. Again, from the resident noob, were somebody interested in getting started with cryptocurrency specific trading? Go.
Okay, I'd first say only gamble, and that's what it would be when you're first starting.
Of course.
What you're willing to lose.
Yep.
That's number one. I'm sure you've heard that before. If you
And it's a
Googled this at
great
all.
rule. It
Yeah.
is the number one rule for a reason. Taking that into consideration, absorbing it as the status quo.
I would say do all the research you can. Realize that cryptocurrency trading is a zero-sum game, which means that every time there's a winner, there's a loser. So you have to do better
That's a
than
great point.
Yeah, you have to do better than 50% of the people out there. And that can be a hard thing, you know,
Sure.
because a good portion of those people are whales who's made it their living and their life to destroy everyone else.
Whale fights. Yeah.
Now, I come from the shark pit that is the regular stock exchange. So for me, cryptocurrency for a while was super easy because there were all these newbies in there that were like, had no idea what they were doing, and I took advantage of them, to be honest. But made some money doing it. But for people that are just fresh starting out, do tons of research, become an expert, and then like paper trade, which means trade with fake money, not real money. And if you're up like, you know, $1,000 or $2,000 after a month or whatever, start trading for real with a small amount of money. And, you know, my last piece of advice would be don't be emotional trading. Don't be emotionally invested. It's just numbers, and that's the way you have to look at it to succeed. If you're running cryptocurrency trading from fear and greed and getting, you know, upset and enraged and everything, you'll hate your life within 6 months, and you'll probably end up exiting all of your cryptocurrency at a really bad price, and you will not be happy.
That's excellent advice.
Well, thank you.
That's good.
Cryptocurrency always has the higher ground. Yeah. You know, I went there.
We're just doing prequel names.
That's right.
This is just a regular Reddit cast. So
Thank you, by the way. That was a great breakdown.
So you typically short or not short, but do day trading and swing trading. Is there anything you're long on or?
Yes. To my regret, I am long on Ethereum, which, as you can guess, is not going so well right now.
Yeah.
But hopefully, you know, the fundamentals are still there. I think proof of stake is going to come out, and when it does, hopefully the price will rebound, maybe test some new all-time highs, and then I'll be really happy.
Yep.
I'm long on Bitcoin, just for the brand, the name recognition, the stuff we've discussed before, the halvening, all that good stuff. And then a couple of the other like top 10 coins. I couldn't name everything I'm in. I collect a lot of coins because of my trading method and stuff. So.
Speaking of Bitcoin, something Ross has expanded on a couple of times is the technical differences between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. From an investment perspective, would you mind talking a little bit about the distinction between the two?
I honestly couldn't comment too much on the difference between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. I haven't done much trading with Bitcoin Cash.
That's fair.
And there are so many coins, I only really have the time to research what I actively trade.
Fair enough.
So I know enough to know I don't know enough to really say anything without sounding like an idiot.
Socrates, well done.
Thank you.
I only know what I don't.
Yeah.
That was Bill and Ted.
Do you do any automatic trading or use any bots for trading?
I've looked into it. I considered purchasing a bot at one point, and frankly, the returns were less than what I was making on my own. So
Self that.
Ooh.
yeah.
That's our first humble brag, ladies and gentlemen. Well done.
Well, thank
deserved. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So, do you mind if I ask, when did you first get into crypto?
It was about. Well, my very first blush with it was when I looked at a price chart for Bitcoin when it was at like $1,000.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was considering putting like 10 grand into it.
Yeah.
I didn't, and I really regret that.
Yeah. We've heard a few of those stories.
Yeah, and I drew up an entry point on the chart. I was all good to go, but then I had my doubts. I was uncertain. Didn't touch it. Forgot about it. And then I ultimately, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I looked at that chart again, and I was like, shit.
Yeah. My wife likes to remind me of when she tried to convince me to put our kids' savings accounts into Bitcoin when it was around 300, and I'm like, that's a irresponsible move, honey. We will never do that. And well, yeah.
You probably don't live that down.
No. So, yeah.
He's made up for it.
Oh, sure.
Okay, that's our second humble brag. Well done.
Yeah.
I had another brain thing. It's one of those things. It's called a thought, but I can't remember what it was.
That's a brain fart.
Oh. Still didn't help.
We've all been there, buddy.
So we learned something interesting today that might affect us as a company.
Yeah, we did.
So we
Not half an hour ago.
Yeah, we specialize in selling cryptocurrency hardware here in the U.S., which means we import it, and we've been paying very close attention to the Trump tariffs, and it looks like one of them that just went into effect on August 23rd might be affecting all of the cryptocurrency mining hardware that's coming into the country at this point.
Really?
Yes, and that means that instead of a 2.6% tariff, you're looking at a 27.6% or 0.6% tariff.
It's a little more.
Yeah. A little bit. So
We're not scared.
Yeah.
We're not scared to death.
No.
Nothing is gonna happen.
No. Nobody likes profit. So.
Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I mean it'll work out. There's still a huge demand in this country for hardware, and it just means that the amount that you charge the customer has to go up to make up for what we're not making anymore, which is unfortunate.
For sure.
So we're a little worried, but we're still looking into all the details. So.
Yeah, I was actually curious about that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were for a long time too.
Yeah, we thought we dodged the bullet.
We still are.
Yeah.
Are you considering like pivoting into maybe selling like you're gonna make $1 million from your website. That's the plan here.
And that would still be not so great for us. So yeah, we would we're always looking at pivoting. Yes. There
maybe
are,
like doing like custom built graphics card miners or something.
There's a lot of other companies doing that. Consulting's an option always. We have a few good connections with some large players that we've been looking at trying to expand upon. So there's some players here in the country that make their own electricity and are selling to the grid at cheap rates and make a lot more by mining. So and they like having a local trusted source for their hardware, and we can provide that. So,
That's CryptoCrane.com, CryptoCrane.com.
And that's blockchaindecrypted.com.
Yeah.
Spelled like it sounds.
yeah.
Go to both. We'll
Yep.
both like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're always
Synergy.
playing nimble though. So yeah, but as the nature of any startup is, we're always ready to
Pivot.
pivot.
Have it a moment's notice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Others call that hustle.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. We're good at that.
You've made a masterful career out of it, which is why I grab on those coattails so tightly and I will never let go.
I used
Don't let
to
go, Jack.
I used to work in IT with Kilgore here, and when the house next door went up for sale, I'm like, "You need to move here," and then he did, and it was kind of funny. So
And the first domino fell.
Yeah.
Yes.
yep.
And now we make silly YouTube videos
Yeah.
for fun. In addition to putting boxes in boxes.
Yes, we put a lot of boxes and boxes.
So you mentioned that you're long on, or why are you long on Ethereum? Because you just like the fundamentals of it in general?
I liked at the time that I entered it, which was a while ago. So something I've got to note is I've generated a lot of free Ethereum by trading Ethereum pairs. So what I do is I take part of my profit, instead of taking it in like US dollar or even Bitcoin or something like that, I put it into Ethereum. And so I didn't necessarily buy Ethereum. I actually just generated it through trading, which is pretty
Interesting.
cool. And
I didn't even know that was an option.
yeah, it's actually really interesting. And that's I made a really good trade yesterday doing that, because Ethereum plummeted, and I was like, Vitalik is kind of bad mouthing his own coin here. This might be a good time to bet against it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What did he say? I didn't read up on this.
He said Ethereum needs to change its code or it's going to zero.
Oh.
And I'm like, dude, you're developing this coin. Why would you say this?
Is this hot on the heels of the article we talked about where he was sort of
He developed an algorithm to prevent the 99.
alluding to it? Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
So it's like, yeah, the old stuff is trash. This new stuff, that's the hotness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, the weakest point of Ethereum is the fact that there is that one single guy at the top that is kind of still calling all of the shots. It's got a huge development team. I mean, there are so many different developers in Ethereum that are disconnected from each other, but he's still the figurehead.
Right.
So-
For sure. And like, why is he bad mouthing his own coin?
One of the perhaps advantages of something like Bitcoin is the fact that no one really knows who Satoshi was, and the people who claim to be him don't really have the credibility to make such claims. So, and no one's really proven it publicly with any sort of signature. And it's my opinion that the guy's probably dead, whoever he was, or group. So.
Yeah, so lately I've definitely been ramping up my collection of Bitcoin rather than Ethereum. And
Right.
that's been doing pretty well.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Where do you trade?
Binance, HitBTC, Coinbase, which is also GDAX,
Right,
or Coinbase Pro, whatever their new name is.
They change the name monthly. So.
Yeah. Those are the main ones. I also do, I think, Bittrex.
Do you do any arbitrage?
No.
No. Too covered already by the bots? Or
Yeah, different thing. Not an expert on that. I stick with what I know. And then I looked into IDEX. I'm considering entering that. That's a decentralized exchange.
I've read much about that one.
Yeah, I've never traded on a decentralized exchange, but it's really interesting when I did some research on it, because they offer to pay you like a cryptocurrency, like the IDEX coin,
Okay.
if you just use their exchange. And I'm like, so instead of a fee, I'm getting a coin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like the opposite, and I'm making money for trading.
They're paying you.
They're paying me
use
to
it?
trade. Yes.
That sounds
So
good.
I'm like,
Would that
Huh.
be... I mean, so typically the saying is, if the thing doesn't have a product, you are the product. So
good
how would that...
What do they
well,
stand to gain?
Well,
from
so
paying
two
you?
things. One, if a bunch of people have their coin starts having some tier of value. And if they're the one handing out that coin, they're able to kind of control the supply and demand thereof.
Yeah.
Additionally,
That's fair.
you could argue that it would get them popularity and notoriety, which would also give them an opportunity to become a more popular exchange than a no-name exchange.
But the fact that it's decentralized, I'm wondering who the they is, because
It could be developers of the coin
It's the man.
and using.
It's
Not Ripple.
it's
the
no,
man
it's the
behind the
opposite
man,
of that.
man.
It's decentralized.
my point though is that you're saying of if you know if you are the product, that I think that only works if someone's there attempting to make a profit. I don't know if anyone's attempting to make a profit with a decentralized exchange. There's enough crazy people out here in this environment that are just trying to do things that make their lives easier or save them money on their trading themselves, or just adding liquidity to the market for trading in general, you know, which benefits all sorts of different players. So I'd be curious to see, you know, if that is something that they have designed to eventually make a profit from, or if it's just designed to be a decentralized network that facilitates trading. So
yeah, it's interesting.
yeah, that's very interesting.
Ripple's bad.
This is anti-shilling. I like this. Reverse shilling.
There's way too much dead air.
Normally we have all these news articles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this is screw it. Let's drink and just talk for a period of time about
Alrighty.
stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Bottoms up.
I would like to thank Black Moon Coin for making me $1,000 while I slept yesterday.
Woohoo! Yeah. So tell me about that trade. You were telling me a little bit yesterday.
Yeah, so it was a trading pair, which means I was betting against Ethereum. It was Black Moon Coin / Ethereum, which means instead of paying like $1 for a Black Moon Coin, you pay a little bit of Ethereum for a Black Moon Coin. And so they move in relation to each other. Like if Ethereum goes up, Black Moon Coin will tend to go down. And since Ethereum plummeted, Black Moon Coin went way, 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 way up.
So when Black Moon Coin went way, way, way up, did you trade back for Ethereum?
Yes, and I ended up getting more Ethereum than I started with.
Yeah.
And I kept like 40 or 50 Black Moon Coins.
Interesting.
So it was
Forgive
pretty
me
good.
for the uninitiated. What's the relationship between Ethereum and Black Moon Coin where they are directly opposite in terms of...
They're not directly opposite. I think what he's just saying is because they're trading pairs, the value is measured as a percentage of Ethereum.
Exactly. He put
Got
that really well. Yes.
how do coins become trading pairs?
That's a great question.
Um,
On an exchange, they have to decide what they're going to allow to be trading pairs, and there's a lot of questions. This is why Bitcoin has been like the primary trading pair with everything else, and not, you know, a bunch of other popular coins or U.S. dollar. It's been growing, and especially on Binance has been working on that.
I think it really, frankly, comes down to like brand recognition and age mainly. Like you have Bitcoin as the main one because it was, you know, the first, and then Ethereum because it was, you know, I don't know. I don't want to say it was the second. I don't know the history of Ethereum, but it's
Second
really
big one.
The second big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was really just the recognition of Ethereum as being a large market cap main coin that people could.
I think it's like it's got to reach a certain threshold of popularity.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of people have been upset that Bitcoin has been, you know, the primary trading pair with so many other coins, because when Bitcoin tanks, everything tanks. You know, regardless of the merits of the other coins. You know, and I can see that being something that you'd like from a trading perspective, perhaps, but from someone who's just hodling, you know, on some third, you know, altcoin, you know, they're probably like, dang it, Bitcoin, why are you affecting me? You know?
Yeah, for sure. And it gives anyone that wants cryptocurrency to fail an easy target to mess with.
Yep, definitely.
You know, so.
Yeah.
So is there any speculation besides Bitcoin being the first and most recognized that you think it's
the gold standard?
Right, the gold standard, or the primary trading pair of all the cryptos?
What's your question?
Yeah, you're going to have to rephrase that. There were too many pauses.
No, it's fine. No, so Bitcoin, as you guys mentioned, is the primary trading pair.
Yeah.
Yes.
Besides brand recognition, for lack of a better term, and age, is there any other reason you would think that would be the case?
No, it's actually kind of a horrible one simply because it's got 10-minute block times.
Yeah, it's a terrible coin because
right.
of
really high transaction fees in relation to other coins.
Yeah, the three transaction per second limit. Something like that. Maybe two.
I don't know the exact.
But comparatively, it's the most known commodity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you also have to think from an exchange's perspective. They make money every time you trade. So by increasing the number of trading pairs, they're actually decreasing the number of trades that you have to do to get what you want. So there is an argument that could be made that by forcing you to first buy Bitcoin and then to trade for the coin that you want, they're basically able to get 2 transactions out of you instead of being able to do a direct US dollar to whatever coin you want, being a trading pair option. So from an exchange perspective, business-wise, there's maybe not a whole lot of incentive for them to add additional trading pairs.
Sure. Yeah, unless they come out with Tether.
Right. Tether.
Shout out to whoever came out with that. Congratulations on making $1 trillion out of nothing.
Yes. Well, yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's supposedly there's some audits that have been ongoing but haven't been released.
Yeah. How do you audit a decentralized?
Well, it's
not
Tether's
decentralized.
not decentralized. Is it Bitfinex in Japan? I could be wrong about that.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I think it is.
But anyway, they essentially they allow people to deposit U.S. dollars and they give them an equal number of Tether.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is the exchange-specific currency that is attached to any transaction.
Yeah, but Tether is used on other exchanges as well.
But that's how it started.
Right, and I think.
Told you, resident noob.
I think that the play for Tether was simply that it's not U.S. dollar, and therefore, different licenses, different regulations. So it allows exchanges who don't want to touch U.S. dollar because of the oversight that comes with that to operate and allow people to have something that is pegged to the U.S. dollar without, so like, oh shoot, crypto's crashing, I want to get out of it, I'll sell it all for Tether instead of having to move my money to another exchange that does do U.S. dollar. And when you move into US dollar, you're definitely creating a taxable event that is being recorded somewhere. I mean, you could say the same thing when you move it between 2 different coins as well, but who's really keeping track of that? So, anyway, Tether's interesting.
Are the people that own Tether still claiming that they have $1 US for every Tether out there?
In fact,
I don't believe that.
They just printed another $400 million worth of Tether. And the funny thing is, I believe Japan is actually, don't quote me on this, launched an investigation into Bitfinex regarding Tether. And they've continued to print Tether since the investigation started. Which means that they're either really dumb or really competent, or both.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're telling the truth. It's hard to tell. But the thing is, there hasn't been any independent audit. There was a audit that Bitfinex was paying for, and they actually came out before the audit finished saying, looks like we're going to be awesome, and the auditors almost quit because that's something you don't do before the end of an audit.
Yeah.
So it was interesting.
So the lesson here, kids, create an exchange. You'll make lots and lots of money. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yes, yeah. I mean, these exchanges are raking it in, which is why people like Goldman Sachs are coming in and saying, hey, we want a trading desk for crypto.
Yeah, we're going to do this.
Yeah. So what's more likely is they probably nix their trading desk idea and they're going to buy something like Coinbase or something.
Yeah, they'll just buy out Coinbase and be like, oh, look, there's this one that already exists. We'll just take this.
Yep. Why reinvent the wheel?
Yep.
So do you think other exchanges that have the Bitcoin trading pair policy, for lack of a better term, would prevent other smaller decentralized exchanges from breaking that policy?
I think it's an exchange by exchange policy, and it's probably something that newer exchanges use as a way of getting customers, saying, look at the trading pairs we offer. Like we do more trading pairs than Binance or whatever, and so that would probably attract a certain segment of the population. And then they grow a little bigger and realize, holy crap, look at the regulation that comes with this, and now we're shrinking it down to what everyone else does. Who knows? So,
do you think that's more of the case, or do you think it's the case of the exchanges kind of being the new banks of controlling how all the crypto is.
I mean, these exchanges are run by people who are pretty bullish on crypto. I mean, like it's
in their better
You'd rather
interest
have
for
to be.
crypto to succeed.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
I feel like they would be shooting themselves in the foot for short-term gain, long-term loss if they went that route.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that ultimately they'll do what their customers want. I just think that most customers are ignorant of
The steps and the fees involved?
of the benefits that would be had from having additional trading pairs. So I mean, it's a complexity thing too, a scaling thing. You know, the more trading pairs that they have, the more potential problems they have. So it could just be like, hey, we've got 20 staff and we're running really smoothly. Why change it? You know. So.
And I'd like to say about these exchanges, it's important to note, unless you're like a day trader or a swing trader like me and you don't really have a choice, ideally you probably want to store your coins elsewhere, because they're like the gold mine for hackers. Hackers love exchanges.
Yes.
They're like, there's $120 million sitting here and their security sucks. Let me just think about this for 5 seconds. So
Yes, yeah. I've been surprised that like Coinbase has been as long as they have without being hit.
I really thought that one of the exchanges I was on would be hit by now.
Right.
Because I'm on so many. It was like
Yeah.
But so far I've been lucky. So
Nice. Yeah. So
I'll do that for you.
thank you.
yeah, that's a general rule of thumb. If you don't control your private keys, then you don't control your money when it comes to crypto. And when you put your money in an exchange, you no longer have control over your private keys. So, if you're holding and you're trying to protect your finances, don't put it in an unsafe place. So we always recommend hardware wallets. Something like the Ledger Nano S. Those are great, simple, easy to use. Even a wallet on your computer is better than an exchange in most cases. So as long as it's encrypted.
Yes.
Yep. Make sure your computer's offline. You have an offline backup.
Or do what I did. The easy thing is just to buy like a Ledger Nano S.
Yep, exactly.
So easy.
Yep. Some people use paper wallets, which are cool.
Yeah.
You can generate them offline and print them off, and you basically just scan the QR code and deposit to your address, and the private code is never even touched an online computer. So.
Yeah, there are even like companies now that make a Bitcoin
yeah.
wallet engraving thing.
Yeah,
so it's like I want one of those just because it's cool.
I've seen some really cool printouts where they have like Bitcoin paper wallets that are like they look like currency almost.
Yeah.
Back when I first got into it, I made a bunch of those, and
that's
cool. And then I wanted to trade it, and I'm like, and now they're gone.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. And you're like, and now I want to trade it.
Yeah.
And now I'm not using the wallet anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good talk.
Do you have any questions for us? Any insights that you would like gleaned from two people that don't know what they're talking about? One person that's an expert?
Where do you see cryptocurrency in 10 years?
Ooh, yeah. Much bigger than it is now. Right now, I still think it's very fringe. It's, everyone knows about it now, which is interesting, but I still don't think that most people understand money in general.
I like money.
Yeah, most people like money, but they don't really know how it works or why it works. And I think that the more people learn about money and how
government printed money.
and where your money comes from and how the government treats your money, the more we learn about that, the more interest I think there will be in cryptocurrency and other
20-ton discs, whatever.
I love the bolivars.
All right.
I wish I could get my hands on some of those.
So yes, bigger and better. I don't know if Bitcoin will remain the top dog. I often make the metaphor that it is the Yahoo and we're waiting for a Google.
Yeah.
But who knows? So
for sure.
Yeah.
I thought it was always that Ethereum was probably going to be the Google, but with Vitalik just constantly dropping trow all over it.
Yeah. There's a lot of other really interesting ones that have a lot of support from some big players, but
Cannabis coin.
Cannabis coin.
Now we're talking.
Bet everything on the weed coins, guys. They're going to the moon.
They're getting
You heard
high,
it here
that's for sure.
first.
Well, The moon
Doggy
is,
coin.
the moon is pretty high up there.
Yeah.
Aha.
I'll show myself.
Spicy.
Yeah. Doge.
Yeah.
Coin. I love it.
Dogecoin,
It's
whatever.
One Doge has had the best valuation ever since its launch. One Doge is still worth one Doge. So, as they say.
Yeah.
Much wow.
Very
Much wow.
philosophical.
Much wow.
Yeah. So, okay. I think that pretty much wraps up today.
So where can people find you again?
All right, so go to blockchaindecrypted.com. Look at my page. Go to my about page. My email address is on there, or I'll put it out here too. It's bsols3@gmail.com. You can reach me there. Look at my page. Educate yourself. I include a lot of my trading advice there. You'll maybe make yourself some money, but keep in mind everything I say. It's not like total financial advice. Don't sue me if you lose money, please.
Can't sue, won't sue.
Yeah, exactly.
And where do people hear your sultry voice besides on your website?
Say what now?
Where can people hear your sultry voice
Rumor
besides
has
on your
it you have
website?
your own.
Yes,
podcast.
I have my own podcast.
Yeah.
Go to my website. The link to the podcast is there. It'll be launching this week.
Blah.
Awesome.
That's awesome. So that was Will Salisbury, Mr. Ross Drummond, Mr. Craig
Kreutzberg.
Kreutz?
Craig is
Kretz? Craig?
Yeah.
Craigsburg. Craig Craigsburg. Nailed it. And I am Jason Kilgore of CryptoCrane. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, hit the bell, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, go to our website. What else do we have? Listen to us on not SoundCloud. SoundCloud's dead now. Ish. It's kind of dead. We'll still be out there. But that's not the primary. Podcast.com, iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, anywhere. We're there. We're already there.
Pinterest.
No.
All 57 of you.
Etsy. We'll teach you how to build a miner. We'll build them custom.
Did you mention Instagram yet?
No, we don't have
We're on
that.
the gram.
I'm not. We're not that millennial.
We're
yet.
on the gram.
All right, that's it from us.
Thanks, everybody.